What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to go over my process for burning in a brand new backpacking stove. This is the new Torrid hot tent stove from Peax, renewed by fire. If you haven't ever used a hot tent in the backcountry, it is a game changer for those late season hunts when it is cold, wet, and nasty out. The Peax equipment stove with the Solitude tent makes a hot tent combination. This system helps me stay out in the field longer and more comfortable, which for me means more punch tags. This weighs 3 pounds, 5 ounces with the whole thing, so maybe not the lightest stove on the market, but I think probably one of the better built ones. I'm in my backyard burning in the stovepipe so I don't get so frustrated when I'm out on the mountain trying to put it together for the first time. I'm doing it in my backyard. I'm going to show you how to do it to make it much easier for you. Grab a buddy because you're going to need one. Let's do this. With a brand new stove, doesn't matter what brand it is, you're going to want to burn it in. So I've only set this up once before, but this was how I found the best way to do it. And the first thing you're going to do is take your front of your stove and you're going to hook the side of the stove up. It has notches cut out in it here and here, and you're going to want to line that up. This slides into the bottom notch and then the top part hooks in right here. So you kind of line that up and then it slides into place like that, and then it'll be even on the top and bottom. You have to do that with both sides. That's stuck in on the bottom. And the top should kind of just slide on here. Like so. Then you have these 3 legs, and the one thing you want to make sure when you're putting it together on the legs is make sure you have this little tab in one of these notches. Lillian's here helping me. So if you put it on and the tab's over here, you're gonna have to take it off and redo it. You need to have this tab in one of these little notches, and you're gonna want to kind of hold them together, but this tab goes in this little notch on top of the stove here, and then it slides on, and there's little divots on the bottom where the bottom part of the legs go. So once again, make sure that that's in correctly. Hook on the top into the deal, and then the bottom part of this guy goes into that divot. You can adjust that if needed. Fresh out of the package, you shouldn't need any adjustments. So just like that, the main body of the stove is placed together. You have this piece goes into the top, and then it is a bit of a turn and it locks it in. This is your spark arrestor. You're going to want to keep this in here at all times so you don't melt holes in your shelter. As you can see, the spark arrestor covers that when it's in that position, and then if you're dampening down your stove, you just slide this in to where it dampens it off. It also has a dampening system in the front here. Open, close, whether you want it hotter or colder. And then that's your door. Now that we got our stove put together, we need to put together our chimney, and I'm going to show you how the easiest way to do that is. All right, the first time you put together your stovepipe, you're going to want a few things. You're going to want a pair of gloves. This can potentially cut your hands. And then you're going to want to have some sort of a pole. You're going to want to do this at home before you go out into the woods, because it's really a pain in the butt to do out in the woods. It's helpful to have somebody to help you get it all rolled out lengthwise. And then you're just going to use this pole as best you can to roll it up. Once you get it rolled up, you put these keepers on and kind of spread them out along the length of the pipe. And this is why you want to do it at home and not out in the woods. We're going to burn this in. Once you get it hot a couple of times, it'll create a memory for itself, and then it'll be a lot easier to roll up into the correct shape. Once you get your stovepipe set, you can stick it in your stove jack and you're ready to go. Now we got to start a fire in here and get it hot so that it will create that memory like I was talking about. It'll be easier once we get out in the field to roll out the pipe into the correct shape. The stovepipe doesn't stand up by itself without the tent holding it up. So I had to rig up this shovel, stuck it in the ground, hooked it up to the stovepipe with wire, and now it's holding nicely. If you're careful, you can do this without getting dents in it. I wasn't careful enough, got a few dents in it. It won't affect the functionality of the tent. It just doesn't look as nice. The discoloration is normal, and once you get this burnt in, you won't have to fight it when you're out in the backcountry. This stove comes in at 3.5 pounds. For me, that is well worth the weight penalty to have a hot tent in the backcountry. Hot tent helps me stay in the backcountry longer, hunt harder when it is cold and nasty out. If you're out there in the backcountry and you are merely trying to survive, you are not hunting at your best. I highly encourage you, if you are going to be hunting in the late season and you want to get away from people and backpack or pack in somewhere, get yourself a hot tent. It will change your hunting experience. I really dig this new system from Peax. Putting it together is way easier, way less fuss than the old system I was using. It's pretty intuitive and goes together really quick. I'm in my backyard burning in the stovepipe so that when I get out in the field, I don't have the frustration of rolling up that pipe and getting it in place. Once it's burnt in, it rolls up really easy into position. You don't fight it, and it makes setting up camp a breeze. When you get back there and you're setting up camp, the last thing you want to do when it's wet and rainy and you're cold is to fight with your stovepipe getting it in place. So highly recommend burning it in your backyard before you go on your first hunt with your backpacking wood stove. Check them out, Peax Equipment. They make high quality equipment for the backcountry. Pair this with the Solitude 4. I wouldn't recommend trying to fit more than 2 people in the Solitude with the wood stove. Make sure you have plenty of room around this stove because it will burn things quick. It does get extremely hot. I personally love getting back to camp, cranking up this stove, sitting out there in the tent, getting warm, getting dried out. It dries out your equipment super fast because it's wood heat. I've literally had equipment that was soaking wet, hung it up in the top of the teepee, cranked up the stove, and by the morning it was bone dry. So if you're heading out into the backcountry in the late season where it's either cold, snowy, rainy, wet, you're going to want this system. Make sure you check out Peax Equipment for more details. This stove is worth every ounce. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the ElkShape Gear channel. Appreciate you watching. Please like this video, subscribe for more. Until next time, have a great adventure.